Welcome to this free mandolin lesson for beginner and intermediate players on the tune Minor Swing by Django Reinhardt. First of all, we're going to learn the core melody and some closed chords that will hopefully sound like this. And then once we've done that, I'm going to show you a slightly more intermediate version of the chords with a slightly more complex melody that will hopefully sound a bit like this. So our first task is to learn the core melody. Now this is not too difficult. It is essentially just an A minor arpeggio, a D minor arpeggio, and then an E major arpeggio. But what I do want you to watch out for is what your right hand's doing. If we take the very first phrase, and I should say at this point, everything I will mention in the next 15 minutes or so is included on a free PDF which you can download below. So please make sure you have that next to you so you can follow along with me rather than try and work stuff out by ear. So, phrase 1. So, bar 1. Nice and simple, 2-5-2, all on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're all down. Second bar gets a little bit different. So note number 1 is on the beat. And it's worth 1 beat, so note number 2 is also on the beat. But note number 2 is now only worth half a beat, which means note number 3 falls off the beat. So down, down, up. And if I count that out, 1, 2, and. So it falls on the and of 2. So there's our first 3 notes of bar 2. And then the final note of bar 2 is also off the beat, because the note before is off the beat and is worth 1 beat, so that means that the next one is also off the beat. So bar 2 is down, down, up, up. And if you're ever struggling to sort of understand what's on the beat and what's off the beat, I like to put a metronome on, so you can hear that. So that falls on the beat. So you can hear the off, those 2 last notes don't fall with the click. So if you're ever wondering how to work out if something's off the beat or not, play the melody along with a metronome and you should hear how it times up with the click. Now, how handily for this melody, that rhythm is then repeated for the next 2 phrases. Down, 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 up, up, down, 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 up, up, down. So, just have a little play of that, those opening A part, well, it's the opening 8 bars, and then we'll just have a quick look at the second half of the melody. So, for bar 8, gets a little bit, we're still just doing little arpeggios of the chords, but the melody gets a little bit more simple. So, this is the 3rd line if you're looking at the, so it's down, 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 up. So the 4th note of that phrase falls on the and of 4 in the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So that's an up. So your rhythm there is down, 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 up, down, 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 up. And I know it seems trivial at this slow speed. You could do those pick strokes any way you want and it will sound fine. But for beginner players, this is really worth considering, that your pick stroke, you really need to think about it. It should be down on the beat and up off the beat. It will benefit your playing no end in the future if you can stick to that rule, especially this is in sort of straight time signatures. So down on the beat, up off the beat. So all that's left to do now is play the melody round, and I'll stick the metronome on and we'll just play it once through. So that's clicking at about 100 BPM. So after 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 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 up, up, down. 2, 3, 4, 1. 4, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. We'll move on to the chords now. If you didn't get that first time around, don't worry, we'll play that melody again in a minute. So the chords, as previously mentioned, all we need is 3. We need A minor, we need D minor, and we need E. Now, for beginner players, if you already know sort of slightly easier, more open chords, then do feel free to play those, but I would like you to try these as well. So, the A minor shape that we're going to base it on is this one. So if I say the frets, it's 2, 2, 3, 5, and you can see the chord diagram just below me. So that is a really useful chord on the mandolin. Because first of all, there's no open notes, so that's what we call closed. So every string is being used. And whatever note this finger's playing, your little finger, so at the moment it's on an A. So that tells me the root of the chord. So wherever my little finger is the root of the chord. And then, if my middle finger is down, it's a minor. If I put my ring finger or third finger down, the fret higher, it's major. So A minor, A major. So just with those two little caveats about the chord, so what note is my little finger playing, and then which of my two fingers is down. So A, major, or minor. I've tried to show that on the two diagrams with the different colours. So all you need to know, so say someone says I need you to play a D flat minor chord, and you think, how am I going to play that? Just find D flat, so it's up here, so there's D flat there, and then make that shape. So I need minor, so there we go, there's D flat minor, just by knowing what my little finger's playing and whether it needs to be minor or major. So on that basis, it also works if you move it one string over. So take that A minor shape and move your middle finger and little finger over, so it's now 2, 3, 5, and don't play the E string. And the same principle applies, so I've got little finger on a D, and I've got my middle finger down, so it's minor, so it's a D minor. If I wanted D major, put my ring finger down. Simple as that. So there's two of our chords, A major, D minor, and then our third chord is E. So there's an E here on the 7th fret on the A string, so I'll put my little finger there, make that shape, and I need major, so I'm going to put my ring finger down. So there's E major, minor, major. So there's the three chords I would like you to try and use. A minor, D minor, E, and then back to A minor. So just pause this video, have a little play around so you're quite comfortable moving between those chords. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a play through the chords just once, just so you can sort of practice along with me. So keep your rhythm nice and simple, just like a bass strum. And it's 4 of each, so you get enough time on each one, and the metronome's at 100 BPM. So here we go, starting on your A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, D minor. 2, 3, 4, E. 2, 3. Back to A minor. Over to D minor. Back to A minor, to E, 3, back to A minor. So the only thing left to do for the start of this lesson is just to have a little jam round of melody and chords. So I'll put the metronome back on. We'll do this 3 times round. I'm going to play the melody, then I'm going to play the chords, then I'm going to play the melody again. And you do whichever you feel comfortable with. If you're still learning it, then do the same as me, so you can sort of make sure you're doing the right thing. If you feel confident, do the opposite of me. So it's sort of like we're in a jam session. I'm going to keep the metronome at 100, and if that's too slow, you can use the little cog down here to slow me down to sort of 50% and 75%. And then once we've done this, we'll look at a slightly harder melody. So if I stick the metronome on, so I'm going to go melody, chords, melody, and you do whichever way round you want. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, up. 2, 3, swap. Back to A minor, to D minor, one more swap round, 3, 4. Okay, just to finish this lesson off for you intermediate players, I want to show you, first of all, how you could go about making that melody a little bit harder, and then just to give you an example. So I can't do all of improvising in this whole video, but I'm just going to give you a brief introduction of to where you can start. So the main thing you need to know is what scale we're using, and in this particular instance, we're mainly using the sort of A harmonic minor scale. So A, B, C natural, D, E, F natural, G sharp, A. So the example I've given, and I think the best thing to do is just have a look at the example, compare it to the original melody, and also just notice how the only notes I've added are just notes from that scale. And all it is years and years of experience of trying things out in jam sessions. It goes horribly wrong a lot of times, and eventually you sort of work out a nice way of improving these, not improving the melodies, but adding to the melodies. So if I just play this melody now with the metronome, and you can try and play along, and then we'll have a quick jam of it. I've increased it to 110 just a little bit, so this is how it sounds on its own. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, why don't you have a go of it and I'll play the chords. And if you get a bit lost, don't worry, this is sort of like an improvising exercise. So what I'll do is I'll play the chords round twice. First time round, why don't you try play my melody, and then second time round, just try and, you know, put your own little inflections in it. And I'll recount you in halfway through. So, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. To D minor. finish. So there we have it. So we've covered quite a lot in the last few minutes. I hope you've made it to the end. So what I want you to take away from this video is just the very core melody to minor swing. You take it to many jam sessions, everyone will know it. And take away that chord shape. That's so useful. You know, once you've learnt that shape and the little quirks of how you work out what chord it is, you can play any chord on the mandolin. And then for you intermediate players, I've hopefully shown you a slightly harder way of playing the melody, and then just maybe lit the fire of starting your journey on doing a bit of improvising, or at least writing your own solos. So I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. Please do hit like and subscribe if you have. Head over to Mando Mike for all other free lessons, and we'll see you next month.